Alright, E7 fam, so starting today or tomorrow after the update, because the Awakened Potential system was scrapped as compensation, we're going to be getting a 5-star selector ticket. As far as I know, you could take any 5-star RGB character that is not limited and not a collab character, and that includes some of the newer characters such as Brieg, for example, and Kane. If my understanding is correct, I don't think there's a restriction on this. If there is, my bad, but it's nowhere listed on any of the notifications. I think because it's compensation, they want to give you access to one thing of your choice, kind of to appease the actual player base. So I'm going under that assumption. Basically, I'm going to go real quick and do a couple seconds on each character. Don't really want to spend too much time. I don't want to make this like an hour-long project like I normally do. If you're looking for more specifics, definitely check out my older selector videos. My opinions have only changed on a couple of characters, I feel like, since that time and where their best use cases are. This is, again, more of an update. I want to highlight some of the characters that I think are either new or have had some changes, or there's some information that's come to light that really makes me want to actually talk about them. So first thing, I want to talk about the bottom tier here, which is already free. These are Bomb Alicata, Sermia, Sigret, Vivian. No real reason to ever take these characters. Kana is from Connections. The other three can be done through various in-game missions that you can find in the ongoing missions tab inside of the game. Must-haves, these are basically characters that I think you should always have. No matter what player you are, just take these characters if you don't have them. They're just universally good in a lot of spots. Asaria and Tamarin, the two best PvE characters probably in the whole game. Rowanna's passive Vigilant Eye is just one of the best passives in the entire game. It's just super broken, and when it works, it makes a lot of game content trivial, whether that's PvE or PvE. Looking at the S tier, I think these are just the best overall choices for most players. Brieg is a new one here on the list to highlight. He has proven that he is worthless in PvP, but he is very strong in PvE. He is probably the best expedition character overall in the entire game, and he has some legs in other game modes such as Nightmare Raid, and I expect him to be a force in Abyss going into the future. I think if you have Adventurer Raz and Brieg as your two frontliners, your two knights, you're pretty much set when it comes to tanks for PvE content, so that's why I have him up here. Destina, universally useful cleanser. Naqual and Lua are two of the most broken PvP characters in the game. Do require really fast gear and the artifact Guiding Light, but they're very, very strong. Lua is the better of the two because she has use cases in PvE, namely Nightmare Raid. Peyra is just a universally good speed contester, great debuffer, good cleave setup, even great for standard when you need to have a fast character that you can pivot into, but are still looking to draft a tank because of her escort buff. Politis, staple PvP unit. Ran, fastest unit in the game, sets up a lot of the most aggressive strategies in the entire game. Also has value in PvE, namely Nightmare Raid. Yulha, just generically good high tier / top tier tank in a lot of the PvP game modes right now. A tier, these are ones I think are not as good as the S ones, but still worth your consideration. Bihu is definitely a lot stronger than I think people gave him credit after his most recent round of buffs. Just really good counter pick into a lot of stuff that is currently meta. Just hard to kill, good damage, good setup. Basically everything you'd want in a mid-speed character. Bihu feels like he kind of does it. Shu, great, obviously Guild War unit, but not as good as previously because HP scaling units are kind of on the downturn because of how much injury is in the game, and they just get really easily controlled. They can't really keep up with some of the power from some of the newer characters. I feel like Navy Captain Landy, for example. Crow, great in Guild Wars, not so great in a lot of other game modes. Still has some value also in PvE. Senya, staple anti-aggressive unit. Sharoon, just pretty strong Venom / control unit in PvP. Just really good into certain characters like Mediator Kawer. So just overall rock solid character. Tenebria is one I really want to highlight because she doesn't have a story summon, and she's one of the stronger PvE characters in oddly specific difficult content. There are a number of Abyss floors, for example, where Tenebria is very, very strong. She's also very good in Expedition, and she has some other fringe cases here or there. Again, just this is a character I wanted to highlight because a lot of people for my Abyss videos and stuff, or who are asking me for advice, they don't have Tenebria, and she's not able to be taken from the story summon, which is why I really want to highlight her. If you don't have this character and you're really struggling with Abyss, this is definitely one you want to consider. Vildra, just rock solid character overall. Great speed imprint for World Arena. Great in Adventure for newer players. Very good hunt character for newer players. Also very good hunt character for veterans because he sets up a lot of one-shots. Zahak, just really strong burst damage potential for a mid-speed character in PvP. Great versus a lot of the really pesky dodge units, like, say, for example, your Saber Auden. Also, he could have Resource Restriction, making him very, very good against Lionheart Sermon. Those are 2 top-tier DPS, which is why I think he is worth considering here. Next is the B tier. These are characters I think are overall kind of decent. They have a lot of niche uses, but they're still kind of somewhat decently played. Abigail is somebody you can have to protect a specific character. So if you're looking to protect somebody while still having an injury character that can provide a little bit of utility to the team, that's what she's for. Alencia, kind of fallen out of favor because, again, Bruiser's just not as strong right now. Arya's still a strong pocket pick for PvP, but not really much use else other than that. Aranka, great at punishing barriers, otherwise no real use. Celine is the same as always and just punishing non-attack skills, but is very hard to use. Charlotte is basically an anti-Navy Captain Landy or Spectre Tenebria DPS for PvP. Command Model Leica is for hunts, as well as some specific opening drafts in World Arena. Elena is kind of an anti-AoE support that has some cleanse capabilities, mostly used against cleave and oddly specific drafts in World Arena. Elagos is an anti-evasion, speed contest style unit, hard to gear, requires guiding light. Flan is a cleave setup character that can also double in some PvE game modes such as Advent or Wyvern 13. Ilanav is like Alencia, just a injury-based character that doesn't really have as much value as she had in the past because that's kind of falling out of favor. Kairon is an anti-aggressive character. Kisei is a solid mid-speed kind of burst cleave character. Zahak is a bit better, I feel like, but overall still a solid character. Ken is the best Ancient Inheritance character in the game, and his new EE gives him more PvE potential potentially in the future with things like Abyss, especially the challenge mode. Lilius is just a rock-solid jack-of-all-trades character, great in a lot of PvE content, great in a lot of PvP content. Ludwig is a strong cleave option. Mort is a pocket pick character that can be good, but requires a bit of setup. Check my guide if you're interested in actually picking him up. Pavel is great for a lot of hunts and can also be used still as a cleave opener if you have really insane gear. Tywin is a niche tank at protecting things from stuns and sleeps if that's what you're looking for. And then Violet is just an anti-blue DPS that's going to always be kind of middling, but still worth actually having. The characters in C here are ones that have only really one oddly specific use. Ball and Cezanne is only really played in Red Expedition. Cecilia is played only really in Expeditions and some Abyss Challenge modes, but Brieg is most likely a better option in most slots. Charles is only really played in hunts. Chloe is only really played in specifically high-end one-shot hunts, so this is basically only for a veteran who is really looking to have the best of the best options. Edda is only really used in some kind of outdated cleaves nowadays, and then could also be used in Nightmare Raid, but again, Brieg is kind of really taking her job. Haste is only for Rift as of the recording of this video. Hua Young is kind of a one-and-done, one-shot character in PvP. Only really take her if you want the nostalgia of just kind of, kicking somebody or you just think she looks cool. Koerik is a very hard to set up and very difficult to gear cleave character. Kane is the same story as Haste, pretty much useless outside of Rift. Mui is a decent debuffer slash support, but she just doesn't have the stats or the consistency, I feel like, of some of the other characters. It's somebody you could definitely, choose and experiment around with if that's your thing. Robbie is basically an anti-green heavy draft that they have no way to really kill her. She can kind of dominate it in World Arena, similar to how if they can't answer Arya, then she kind of just takes over the game. But Robbie only really feels like she gets used like 1 in 60 to 100 games, whereas like Arya might only get played 1 in 20 to 40 games, which is why this character is a bit lower. Ray's only for Nightmare Raid, specifically Juleeve Council. D are characters that are even worse than C. I feel like they are used only in one place and there are other alternatives overall. Bologna is only really used in Asimanic 13 hunts, and then also can be used in Juleeve Council, but there are better options. Lidica can only be used in certain Abyss floors, but again, better options. Lulika is a jack-of-all-trades character that basically is never the best option, so there's always someone better. Euphenia has basically been replaced by Jacko in the Zeocleave. Because of her rework, she has no real other place to be used, so again, that's why she is here. And then the characters in F, I just don't think there are any reason to ever actually take them. They're just not that good. And then, like I said, down here at the bottom that we talked about at the beginning, these are the already free characters. So there you go. About 10 minutes quickly went through all the characters, kind of gave you the down and dirty, very quick, like 10-second, 15-second overview of where the character is actually used. If you need more specifics, again, consult my older videos, or let me know down in the comments below, or hit me up on Discord. You can find the link to that down in this video's description. If the video was of some help to you, you can help me out by remembering to like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye now.